Hi, Stevie.
Hi there, Matt. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm just fine. I understand you're a whole lot hotter than we are here.
Oh my gosh, it was 108 yesterday.
Wow. We were in
Cindy, I
the
hope it was a
80s.
lot cooler where you're at too. Hello. What was it for you, Stevie? Let's hear it.
It's 75 today, so that's not bad. And it's not
Nope.
going to rain.
Well, it's 99 here, and they say
Wait.
the monsoon moisture is coming the end of the week. So
Wow.
we'll be in triple digits with 60% humidity. I did not know I lived in Florida.
Yeah. Well, my husband just said it's a San Diego day here, which means the humidity is low and the temperature is normal, not extreme. So that helps a lot.
Well,
Especially,
yesterday was a big day out here in California. I think it made national news.
yes, it did.
We are fully reopened now. It was very strange to celebrate the convention center CEO and director of sales took me out to lunch. And it was
Oh,
very odd walking into the restaurant and nobody was wearing masks.
wow.
It was very strange. In the mall, as you walked around the mall, it was 109, so I wouldn't be wearing any masks at that temperature.
Yes.
But there was a good proportion of people who were wearing masks and who weren't. But ooh, Cindy, hot and humid in Iowa. I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm
Oh,
not a humidity kind of person. I don't know if I can handle that.
yeah, I
So
know about that, but yeah.
we have preliminary rules from the convention center on what is going to happen in if the show is held up to the 1st of October. It's only speculation as to what January will actually be like, but right now, California mega events, which road would be considered a mega event, you are required to wear a face mask at all times, except eating. And number two, you're required to verbally attest that you either have had your COVID vaccination or you've had a negative COVID test within 3 days. And that'll be handled when you buy your tickets. So if you buy your tickets ahead of time, you'll just check the box that you're either vaccinated or you will be able to provide a negative COVID test. Same thing when you register for classes, it'll be on there. You just, by clicking register, you're attesting that you meet those requirements. We're guessing by January they'll be even more lax than they are now, as long as the current, vaccination rates and everything stay stable. So that's really good news.
Well, how are you going to handle the people that already registered for classes, thinking they were coming in this past January? Are you going to go back and can they expect an email from you saying, "Have you had your COVID vaccination?"
They will get an email from us basically saying that, if you're not going to be able to provide these materials, let us know and we'll handle it. Otherwise, you're good to go. So there are those people that registered back in for what would have been the 2021 show that's now postponed. Those individuals, so your class schedules are set. There are a few changes with the change of dates that happened. Such as some Sunday classes aren't happening. Some of the evening classes got changed up a bit. You will get email from us directly, but otherwise your class schedule is set at the current pricing.
After July 1st.
So after July 1st, we're sending those emails. That's an important thing. But your class pricing is set. So those classes that you signed up for back last year, you didn't get the yearly annual fee increase. So that's kind of a neat
Absolutely.
benefit you have.
Right. Right. And a reminder again that that road is a Wednesday through Saturday show for 2022.
Yes, so we're going to have fashion.
Yes.
We're going to have fashion classes, home decor classes, and such going on Thursday, Friday, Saturday before Road to California during the International Sewing Arts Festival. And then Sunday will be some carryover fashion classes and also some quilting classes before we kick off fully into the Monday through Saturday Road to California class schedule. So there will be no more Sunday classes. Quilt pickup will also happen on Saturday now. So you won't have any Sunday. The only Sunday events going on at the convention center are behind the scenes packing up and tearing down.
Right. Right.
So, Stevie, we have a guest.
Yes. One of my favorite people. Yes.
We haven't ran out of friends yet.
No, we haven't run out of friends yet. When we say we need some new friends, we'll let you all know. Maybe some of you in the audience could sign up to be our friends.
So, who is our guest? I know it's one of our favorite people.
Our guest is Kate Flynn Nichols, and she is coming to you from, she's probably in Billings. That's where their office is. Her parents, John and Brooke, live in Red Lodge, which I understand is very close to being on fire, which is tragic. I hate to see fire season come. But
And that is the John Flynn, right?
Yes, that is the John Flynn. Yes, big boots to step into, but Kate is one of our favorite teachers, and I've taken some classes with Kate, and I just think she's really special. So let's bring her on.
Let's get Kate on.
Hello,
hey, everybody.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Oh, it's a relief. I know you guys like to talk about the weather. Today it's only 80, and yesterday it was 105, so that was a relief.
Yes. Is that normal weather for you?
No, I mean, honestly, this kind of weather pattern hasn't happened since the 80s, and I don't know if you remember the big Yellowstone wildfire season in 88. Yes. It's kind of tracking with that season.
Ooh, that's not good news. That's not good news. So, well, Kate, did you learn quilting at your mom or your dad's knee, or did you decide you had to get away from home before you jumped into this craziness?
Oh, absolutely learned at dad's knee, Stevie. I mean, mom and I both did a lot of handiwork like embroidery and crochet and knitting. But my quilting skills and precision piecing skills, that's all dad.
Okay. And what kind of sewing machine do you like to sew on?
My favorite sewing machine, you might have seen it on the show floor. It's a 301 Singer from 1956.
Yes. I know that you and your dad both like those old machines, the 301s and the featherweights too. So,
right. I honestly, I have one Bernina, and she's from the 1970s. So I like the classic machines. The older and heavier, the better.
Oh yes, we call those boat anchors because they would hold an aircraft carrier. Those things are so heavy.
So, it's a misnomer. Why would they call a machine a featherweight when the thing is heavier than heck?
Well, if you think about the progression of the weight of machines, the previous model was about 37 pounds. And so a 12-pound machine, that's pretty light.
Well, also, Matt, I think the case that is made out of wood probably weighs as much, if not more, than the machine itself. So you put it together, and it's not light.
That's probably where I get the weight from. There's one sitting here in the office that does not belong to me, and boy, we try and move that thing around, and it's heavy.
Well, stop moving it. It's my machine.
Hey.
I left it with our friend Kathy because I was going to come to your retreat last year, and then everything got blown up. Kathy took that machine to Idaho, brought it back. Now Matt's got it, and Stevie still doesn't have her machine because I was going to go back in March. About the time that we were closed down at the beginning, so can't do that. And I know you guys even know how to repair all those old machines. But when did you start designing quilts?
Well, for my own purposes, I started designing quilts when I was like 5.
Oh.
I was bossing dad around and telling him where to put certain colors and what I thought would look better. I put my first finished quilt into a show in 1988.
Wow.
And that was a local show. But then designing for the company, That probably started in 2000.
Okay, so not that long ago.
No, I mean, I did actually have one other outside the company job in my whole life. Um, from my teenage years to college, I worked at a movie theater. So I got my cashier skills working there, and then went to college for art, and then came back to Billings, and then just seamlessly entered this family business.
And someplace along the line, you picked up a really cute guy named Kevin
Yes, that was in art school.
in art
That's where
school.
you get the cute ones.
Yes. Kate does have a husband that's absolutely adorable. So, yeah. Well, tell us what the Flynn quilt frame company actually does, because it's more than just the frame.
Right. So my dad did start the company in the 80s with his quilt frame and quilting techniques and some patterns. But when I came in, we started expanding our template line because we picked up a industrial size laser. And so we were able to do our own templates. We had been doing them out of a fiber board, which was good enough for rotary cutting, but you couldn't see through it. So we wanted to do acrylic. And then, going to shows, I would see these patterns that I wanted to try, but didn't want to cut. So I decided to ask Dad if he would help me start cutting fabric on, just for our own personal use on the laser. And then some higher ups at Benartex caught wind of that, and they hired us for our first job in the early 2000s. I want to say like 2004, we started making laser cut kits for Benartex.
Wow.
And so that's where it started. And then I kind of saw a niche that wasn't being filled with fast, easy pre-cut products, because, prior to that, people were actually, some people were just actually rotary cutting strips for their kits. I mean, a lot of people had die cuts.
Right.
But the tax on a body cutting for 8 hours a day, these 2.5-inch strips, I felt bad for people. And then I had a few accidents. I'm sure you've heard about laser and fire, but
I was going to say, isn't fabric flammable?
Yes, it is absolutely flammable.
So is there a story there, Kate?
I found the extinguisher right away, and everything's fine now. No, I mean, trial and error with everything, but we had a good leg up on the process because we had been cutting acrylic for years before we started the fabric.
So you can use the same machine for acrylic as well as fabric?
Right. And I actually have 2 different machines right now, 2 industrial size lasers. And I kind of use one for acrylic and one for fabric right now because the settings are different.
Right. Yeah. Right. I did not know that. That's really, really good. So how do you just determine what kind of colors to put in? Is it your taste? Are you trying to do things because of taste that you see consumers may be wanting?
I do try and follow trends here and there, but honestly, everything that I cut, I would make.
Yes.
So the one aspect of the laser cutting that I'm not sure a lot of people know about is if you like this pattern and you don't like the colors I picked out, I, for a fee, will custom cut the same project out of either your fabric or fabrics from my stash that we have picked out together.
Right. I know you actually custom cut one for me, which I have spent a couple hours this morning looking for that box. But
Did you find it?
I didn't find it.
Mm.
So I don't know. It's the box isn't that big and it's white. So you need to put them in like day glow orange boxes or something for people like me who lose things in their house. But no, I think having those things laser cut is just wonderful because they're absolutely precise. So tell us a little bit about your retreat.
Dad and I actually, Mom and Dad started the retreat in the early 90s. They would invite 8 to 10 quilters to actually live with them for 4 or 5 days. Wow. With their families and visit Red Lodge and have hours of sewing fun in our attic, basically. But after about a decade off, then Dad and I decided to start it again. But we are at a resort outside of Red Lodge, and we have 18 to 20 students. We teach 3 consecutive days for 6 hours a day. And we pick 3 new classes every year. We've been doing this since 2007, I believe. So, except for last year, we're doing it annually in August. So it's a good time to come to Red Lodge, Montana, instead of sweltering heat wherever you are.
Yeah, and then you just told me it was 106.
That's very rare.
I vaguely remember hearing something about John cooking breakfast at these things.
Yeah, and that was, again, in the previous version. Linda Pumphrey was one of our guests one year, and she probably spilled the beans on Dad a little bit. Yeah, he actually made breakfast, and then my aunt and my mom would make lunch, and then Dad is famous for his pork roast, so we would always have a pork roast dinner.
That sounds great. Well, I actually have been to your retreat a couple of times, and I just think it's a wonderful setting. Getting there is a little weird, but because you can go around and come through Billings, or if you want, the scenic way is to drive through Yellowstone and then over the Beartooth Pass, which on a GPS screen in the car, it looks like a bowl of spaghetti. I have never seen so many. It's quite the experience. I guess it's considered heaven for motorcycle riders. They love that road because they're crazy. Because I mean, you are way up in the air. So, but the setting where the retreat is just so peaceful. There's a little brook outside that you hear the water going down, and the weather is usually so temperate you can have the doors open, and it's just a really nice group of ladies that come, because a lot of them come year after year. And I remember one year I was there, I think it was Caroline, that had stopped at the Container Store and bought these bungee chairs.
Yeah.
And everybody was on their phones, and I think half the class ordered bungee chairs. I actually have 3 of them in my house.
I remember that.
That was fun. But it just kind of shows you how comfortable everybody is, and your mom and dad are a big part of that, and of course you certainly are. So that's really great. Matt, do you have any questions?
I got a story to tell.
Uh-oh.
So John, we'll talk a little bit about John because John's a lot of fun. John used to stay at our friend Kathy's house during Rogue. And one year, John discovered that Matt really likes baked goods. And he showed up in the office. You remember this, Kate? He showed up in the office with fresh baked bread. Do you remember that, Stevie? It was warm out of the oven, and it showed up in our office. Oh, that was so good. And for like 8 months after that, I baked bread. My wife finally told me enough bread. Enough. We're good.
Yeah, because I think Matt and I each gained 5 pounds in that office just smelling the bread, let alone eating it. It just smelled so good.
Oh, it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
And I asked John for the recipe, and he said it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Oh, great.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Well, Kate, could you show us one of your kits, maybe how it's packaged, or
Sure.
maybe the templates?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So this is one of my larger kits. And one of the things I like to do for customers is put a small swatch of all the fabrics in the back of the kit, so you don't have to guess what's in the stack, because it's usually hard to tell.
Right.
What's in there. So this is a small sample of all 26 batiks that are in this particular kit. And then you can see it up there is the size of the block and the size of the project.
Right. Right.
So it's in these handy dandy clamshells you can reuse. And this is kind of how it comes off the laser in these stacks. So instructions, my dad would go. But if you can see, it's just,
yeah, the packaging is beautiful. It's just beautiful.
it doesn't look like much on the edge. A lot of people say, I don't want my quilt to look brown. Well, it's not going to be brown.
No. I recently had a friend say that they were afraid to use that because they thought that little singed area where the fabric is cut was going to discolor the light colored fabrics that they were using, but that is not the case. I mean,
well, it's absolutely a valid concern, because you do see that little bit of browning, especially on the lighter fabrics. I just assure people that it's in your seam allowance. As long as you use a pressing cloth, you will not transfer that ash, and it is going to be on the inside of your project. So after you've quilted it and washed it, you won't notice it at all. One of the really nice things about laser cutting, and you can see that I am actually running my fingernail across these pieces. It doesn't fray. It's actually cauterizing the fibers together and making the pieces stable. It adds a little bit of stability so your bias doesn't stretch as badly. And then you don't get those little free floating, the threads that could go everywhere.
You mean the ones that show up on the top of your quilt, and then you're wondering how in the world, and then you have to spend all that time trimming those.
Oh, right. Or if you've actually finished, like, say, a red and white quilt, and then there's this red thread sticking out from a seam.
Yes.
Oh!
Yes. I actually have, well, let me see.
Also, if you're in the audience and you have any questions for Kate, put them in the comments. We'll get them answered for you.
So this was one of the projects that we did at the retreat. This is a Snails Trail. And what at the retreat, they have you make a block. And then if you want to make a bigger size quilt, then you can do that, because okay, I like this technique, I'm comfortable with this block. Well, of course, I don't do anything small. So I actually have a queen size quilt in this color. And then I have a friend named Connie who's a long armor, and she is going to quilt this queen size quilt as soon as I finish sewing hers.
Oh!
I haven't gotten very far. A lot of people like these earthy colors. I like things that look like a circus. So, but you can see this is white. And there is nothing that is showing on the back that where anything has come off to discolor that white fabric. So that's
Right. And then that's at least 4 years old. It's been floating around in your sewing room, and it's like it's not all shredded on the back.
no, not at all. There's no loose threads at all. Because I trim my sewing threads, so there's not even those hanging around. And I know that one year we did double wedding ring. Whoops. And I was going to show. I hope that you can see this on the edge here. Because it's laser cut, there is a little notch down in the seam allowance, and that corresponds to the seam for the pieced ring. So it's absolute, if you sew it, it's absolutely precision.
Right. So for all of the curved projects, I try and do that. So like with the my design, my quarter moon pie behind me in the orange and black, they have intersection notches as well.
Yes, so it's very easy to, because I mean, a lot of people are afraid of especially double wedding ring, but this went together really quickly. I haven't quilted it yet because then I'm going to have to put the binding on it, and I know how to do binding down in those funny little angles, but it's not anything that I wake up in the morning and say, whoo, I get to do that today. But, since we're talking about this, I thought I'd show you how I lay mine out. This is my friend Connie's quilt. So I have the quilt laid out like this, block by block, and each block is separated by a sheet of this deli paper so that I am not trying to sew more pieces onto it than needs to be. So I just find it, and then I got my instructions cut down here, which slides under all of them. Well, I just have found that this is because it sits next to my sewing machine, and it just helps me keep blocks in order. Sometimes I put blocks on paper plates, but these blocks are too big, so that's why this is just an old ironing and cutting mat that is destroyed. So I just put a new cover on it, and this is what I use it for. So. Yes, Connie, I will get to your quilt. Of course, as I said, my quilt isn't quilted either. And I also know that you do laser cuts for other people. I know you do them for Pat Yaman because this is one of hers, and this is a retreat project. So I don't intend to sew this at home. This is just going to go to a retreat, and I haven't been to one of those in 18 months. So, but I will get this one finished. This is really a great project. So, Joseph's coat kit.
Yeah.
Debbie Cradaville said that you have cut Storm at Sea quilts for her. That's great. She said the students would stand and clap when she passed them out. I think that's the nice thing about having these pre-cut is sometimes you're just in the mood to sit down and sew your brains out. You don't want to stop and cut, and that's why these things are just wonderful. So
I call it sew therapy, just because sometimes you do want to just sit down and check out and do straight sewing.
Absolutely.
So when Debbie was talking about, I do the same thing for my classes, is I give everybody one block, and it comes with all the pre-cut pieces. And then So in January, we'll be doing this size project in class, and you'll learn all of my precision pressing and sewing techniques.
Mm-hmm.
You got me. That was my next question. So, okay, here's my last one. Here's my last one for you. What's it like being a vendor and traveling to all these shows? It's like a camaraderie, isn't it?
The vendor family is so fun. I have a blast. You know, some people make it really stressful on themselves, but I just think it's really fun. We all march in at the same time, set up our booths, and do our best to make customers happy and make the sale. And then we all do the same march together out to our cars, and then we meet again 300 miles later.
Well, I had heard that at some shows that, like, if it was you and your dad, on Tuesday night you would have dinner with Charlie, or, you know, the next one you'd have Thursday nights was Bruce and Diane or something, that you had these little schedules that you followed, which I think is really funny.
Well, you have to get everybody in.
Well, true. That's true. That's true.
So we have a picture here that Kate sent us. Go ahead, Jillian.
Oh my gosh.
We were just being friendly vendors on Halloween. I have a
Yeah, that must have been Houston then.
Houston. Yep.
Yeah. I wonder where that hat is. The hat must be where my quilt kit is, because I'd forgotten. No, actually, I think because it's lobster, that hat probably ended up with my grandson in Maine.
So if you want to buy any of the products that Kate's talked about, or any of the other cool things that Flynn Quilt Frame Company sells, the link is on the bottom of the page. So there is the website link for you right there. And I'm sure Kate has lots of goodies in that online store for you to check out.
Yeah, I'm sure she does. There's lots of different patterns.
And I'm
remember,
sure go ahead.
Sorry, if you like the pattern and don't like the colors, we can always make it custom.
Yes. So the retreat, get back to the retreat. Are there spaces for this August?
Well, no. We overbooked because so many people wanted to get out.
That's fantastic. That is really fantastic.
That's great news.
Yes. I'm sorry that I can't get there this year, but just stuff happens, you know.
Grandkids happen.
Yes. Yes, grandkids and other family. So, yeah. So, okay, Matt, do you have any other questions?
I have one more plug. Stop by their booth at Road to California in 2022 in the front of aisle 800.
Oh, yes.
The usual spot they'll be in, and they'll be there in January, and we'll all be there and having a great time.
And you can also check out maybe Kate sewing some of these together, or maybe her dad John sewing on his frame, which is a way of long arming using a regular sewing machine. So it's very, very clever.
And if there's room in your schedule is it July 15th that you release the extra spaces in class?
July 1st is when they'll be able to see the class description information, and then August 15th, you will be able to sign up for those spaces in Kate and John's class. So make sure you get on the website and get yourself all set to go, because those spots we expect will sell very quickly.
Yes. Both of them are great teachers. So
absolutely, we're very honored that they teach for us and then with us. It's a pleasure to have them each year.
Absolutely.
Well, Kate, thank you for spending some time with us. I really appreciate you coming on the show. and showing us the laser stuff. I did not know about it cauterizing the ends of the fabric. That's really fascinating, because even when we pick up, we get fabric samples and stuff sent to us, and the threads are all over the floor, and it's gross, and it's really awesome to know that there's a way to do it without having all that stuff everywhere.
Right.
Yeah. That saves your back from having to cut it all yourself.
Stevie knows about having Matt Rotary cut for her.
Yes. Matt knows about Stevie cutting for him, too.
Well, good deal. Well, thank you, Kate. Stay safe. Hopefully that fire goes away and turns around and marches the other direction.
Thanks.
And we'll be in contact.
And look, we will see you in the fall.
Yes,
I'll
I'll see you soon, Stevie. It's great to see you, Matt.
Yes.
Great to see you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, Stevie, up next, we have the last segment, which is the Road Finished Projects Gallery.
Oh, whoo.
Yes, we have 2 great finished projects for you. So let's put them up. All right, this one, this quilt is made by Katie. The project is called Freelancer. And she took Deb Tucker's class in 2020. So she finished this in the middle of COVID. It was Peace and Long Arm by Katie Green. Now, I have an interesting piece of tidbits of a sneak peek about Road in Person coming up. Do you know that Deb Tucker will be teaching 4 days of classes for us next year?
I know that.
I know, but I bet you no one else does.
I bet you they didn't. I think that's exciting news.
That is very exciting news. And we have other exciting news with Deb coming up here in a couple of weeks that we will announce. I love this one. I think it's great.
It is. It's a great color combination.
It is. So I believe this next one is a Road at Home finish project.
Wow.
Which is kind of neat, because we can't offer you fabric dyeing classes in person. We just cannot do it. The mess, the access to water, convention centers just are not set up for fabric dyeing. So this was made by Sally. It's gradation dyeing, and she finished the dyeing from a class she took with Cheryl Lynch.
Right.
And so that is the one benefit of virtual classes. There just are some techniques that we just can't offer you. So that was a big benefit, was to be able to offer a dyeing class.
Right. Well, I think that it's like you wouldn't do a dyeing class on your living room carpet. And that's kind of what the situation is at the convention center. All those classrooms are carpeted. So, yes, let me tell you, they chase Matt down the freeway with a bill if something gets on that carpet that can't be vacuumed up. So
they do. We have great lawyer conversations when that happens.
Right.
Okay, so if you have a finished project that you want featured on an episode of It's So Road, Jillian will pop the link up in the little swirly-doo bar at the bottom. There it is. And we'll also drop a link in the comments as well. So next week, we have quite an interesting show planned for you. I actually got a babysitter. Actually, I did. Let's be honest. I didn't get the babysitter. My wife, Jen, got the babysitter. She's going to be in studio with us here, and so is Stevie's husband, Randy. And Linda will be back with her husband, Alan, so long as he remembers not to play golf.
Right.
And
so,
you will be able to submit questions to see what it's really like to live with us. And not only that, you can ask how Matt got started here, what it was like when Matt got started here. You can ask all sorts of questions.
Right.
Yes. Oh, yes. There's also ones about, you can ask about what it's like to be proposed to at the show when you didn't want a public proposal. Right. I know somebody who doesn't listen very well in that regard. So there's all sorts of questions and stuff you could ask us. The link's right there. Fill it out, put it on. Make sure it is a question geared towards our spouses. Otherwise, they're going to be sitting there kind of confused and quiet and not really know what the heck is going on. So that's next week. The week after, we're kind of going to flip the scenes here, and you're going to hear me stumble through the actual production end on the back end as we interview Jillian, who is our show manager. She's the one that pretty much makes sure that the show runs smoothly. Not only It's So Road, but the actual Road to California show. So that will be an interview you won't want to miss as well.
Right. And with the spouses, as of now, I know that Randy and Alan will both be at the show. Randy has been coming for a number of years, but Alan has volunteered to come and do whatever, which is such a foolish thing for anybody to say. I'll do anything for you, Matt, because you never know what you're going to end up doing.
You never know. But if you have a spouse that you want to be put to work while you're taking a class, shoot us an email. We've got lots of little odd volunteer jobs we can have your spouse do as well.
Right. So
it's a
I think
perfect way to get involved at the quilt show.
Yes. And Matt's wife is there, but not when the public is there, because she is in charge of unpacking and packing. And then Matt's mother-in-law is in charge of hanging quilts. So
my poor wife has probably the worst job of all the staff at the show, because she gets to deal with all the problems that are unpacking the quilts, and she gets the even worse job of making sure they're shipped back correctly. That job does not finish until every single quilt is at home. Right. So sometimes that job can drag on for 3 or 4 weeks. So it'll be very interesting to have all of us on together. It should be a very fun show, but it will only be fun if you ask us questions. So get those questions in on the Google form.
Yeah, and that's something that we plan to do in the future is when we do the in-person show, we're going to do some filming of what it looks like when quilts are unpacked, how that's handled by Road to California, which is different than a lot of other shows. And then we will show how we treat the quilts and handle and make sure that those quilts get back to the people folded the same way that they were shipped to us. So if you fold it in fourths and then in half, that's all noted, and that's how it'll come back to you. But we're going to do some filming of that kind of thing, just so that you have a backroom view of how the show functions, which I think is really interesting.
I think I've been told that Linda and I will be live streaming from the show too.
Yes.
So that'll be kind of neat. You'll see they're going to bring my chair and we're going to be live streaming from the show floor. We're actually putting the spot on the floor maps as we speak, and we'll have the cameras and the lights and everything. And if we're going to have a Google form set up, and maybe we'll interview you at the quilt show.
That could be.
So stay tuned we have great shows scheduled for the next 2 weeks. Get your completed projects in and ask us those questions. But for now, everyone, get your vaccines and stay safe out there. And we will see you next week.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.